Hello, I'm Derek and I'm going to examine a 352-page novel written by Tim Green called Unstoppable. But before I do, here's a quick summary of what it's about. In the novel, the narrator Harrison, a 13-year-old boy who was obsessed with football, was sent to a foster home on a farm, for his single mother was a very bad alcoholic and couldn't take care of him any longer. Mr. and Mrs. Constable, the owners of the farm, adopt kids and force them to work on their farm, unpaid. One day, Harrison was fed up with the abuse, so he decided not to finish his chores, which consist of feeding the cows, washing the pigs, etc., like normal jobs you would usually do on a farm. And Mr. Constable found out, and he took off his belt and whipped Harrison in the eye. Harrison was temporarily unable to see out of his eye, but using the one that he was able to see out of, he stabbed Mr. Constable in the leg with a pitchfork. This caused Mr. Constable to fall back into a cow, and the cow kicked him in the head. Due to the head injury, Mr. Constable died. And Harrison, later on in the book, was readopted by some lovely people named Ron and Jennifer Kelly. Mr. Kelly is a football coach at the local middle school. Mr. Kelly, who prefers to be called Coach, let Harrison on the local football team. They discovered at the first practice that Harrison had a secret talent. He was very fast and very strong. He was unstoppable. Early on in the season, in practice, he injured his knee. They go to the doctor to check it out, but not only did he have torn tissue in his knee, but they discovered bone cancer. His leg had to get amputated, and he needs to get a prosthetic. He goes through therapy for multiple weeks, but he makes it back just in time for the final stretch of the football season. And the relationship I'm going to explore is the relationship between Harrison and Mr. Constable. They have a negative relationship, and Harrison also has relationships with his new father, Mr. Kelly, and his old mom, which was Mrs. Constable, and that one's negative, and his relationship with his new dad, Mr. Kelly, is positive. And so Harrison and Mr. Constable have a negative relationship. Mr. Constable is a very power-driven man who adopts children for the sole purpose of making them work on his farm, although Harrison is very young, being only 13 years old. An example of abuse from Mr. Constable is when Harrison didn't finish his tasks and went to watch football inside. Mr. Constable took out his belt and whipped Harrison in the eye. Reacting to these actions, Harrison struck back by stabbing in the leg and causing a series of unfortunate, or in this case, fortunate events, causing Mr. Constable to die, as I mentioned earlier. This has been my ILA project. I hope you enjoyed.